Hey everybody, Jason Russell here, bringing you a wonderful professional article review. So when I started thinking about finding this when it comes to literacy integration, I thought about how I use it in my classroom. So my first thought when I come to anything like this is I hate to waste time in class reading things that students could have done beforehand. So what I like to do, and this isn't all the time, but I like to have project-based learning activities, things like that during class, and a lot of those don't leave a lot of time for reading of material. So when I thought of literacy integration within the business classroom itself, immediately I came to mind with the blended learning and doing those kind of things. Outside of the classroom. So I found this wonderful article. Christopher Viebig, I'm definitely pronouncing it wrong. I try my best. But blended learning and entrepreneurial education. So this was great. So first, I wanted to the definition they talked about here was within that was just what was entrepreneurial education in the first place, and that just aims to develop skills, knowledge, attitudes that allow students to potentially be successful in business creation, either while they're in school, which is what I teach them to do, and give them the opportunity to do, or even after they leave. So the skills that come from that benefit every possible business or position the students could have in the future. So that's the main premise of the content integration. And then specifically blended learning, we know we've talked about this in a lot of other classes. This particular article referenced it as a mode of delivery that seeks out optimal combinations of online and offline teaching methods that foster students learning. Obviously, this is within entrepreneurship. So some of the great terminology, I found this uh, word blog. I can't remember what these things are called now, but it gives a good example of these kind of things that they can spend a lot of time on outside of the classroom, and reading about and learning about to bring into the classroom for more fluid things. So with this article, it had three kind of areas that focus on literacy and blended learning, that include the first one was inclusivity. So the ability for really anybody to partake in these kind of activities. Of course, that depends also when it comes to blended learning and students access to internet and devices. Our particular district provides both of those things, so that isn't really an issue. And then the inclusivity in that. So really with the pre-class readings, writings, and videos, that allows the integration of students to read an article that is sent home, do a writing about it, and bring those to class so that we can spend more time talking about those things. The online learning aspect now with blended learning and reading and a lot of those literacy things, it all happens separate. So students got used to that. They still like it, at least for my students. So the other inclusivity aspect would be that they mentioned not necessarily with literacy, but was remote expertise. With blended learning, you can bring in experts from outside a lot easier. So like for instance, the career tech ed part of the goals that I have to set every year for my program is that I bring in or have a speaker come in that is a business owner. And my goal is always to include somebody that's foreign. From a foreign country. A lot of friends that I went to school with for my undergraduate, all over the world. And I love to bring them in and have online now, obviously, and talk to students. So it really helps. It also allows some of that literacy when allowing having students do some research of their own when it comes to the person that's coming to talk and where they're from, some good questions and things like that. So the next thing that it talked about was the scale. So when you're talking about these things, and this is why I like the blended learning when I'm focused on articles and literacy, is that it provides that additional class time that isn't spent reading or um, kids struggling to read during class time too, which can take up a lot of time. And in my opinion, it doesn't really benefit a whole lot, allowing the students to do this separate and outside. And then the scale, it also adds content without cost, allowing the students to do these things outside, read and write, and focus on those things. Does not, additionally doesn't require additional class time and those things like that. So the last thing that it focused on when it came to blended learning literacy was that it allows for more deeply engaged discussion. So if students become prepared to class with the blended learning and the readings and things like that they were supposed to do, it allows a lot more time for the teacher to discuss with them about the ins and outs of the writing and the difficulties that they may have had with the articles that they were reading or the work that they were supposed to be doing outside of the classroom. Also, the simulation and gamification quality for blended learning is astounding. Of course, digital literacy is a huge piece of the puzzle these days, and so as a tech director for my district too, I do a lot of the integration for technologies and teaching students those necessary skills that come with being online and researching articles and things like that that are appropriate. So the last thing also is the experience-based learning. When it is blended learning, students can go and do these things outside of the classroom and continue to have those experiences, and the skills and things that they learn can be taken outside of the classroom, utilized, on the job if they have a job and things like that. So, the other thing with this, it really took me another deep dive, and I needed more verification, the literacy and blended learning and those kind of things. So it drove me to a couple other articles that I've referenced at the end that really spoke to a lot of these things, and really in the conclusion that this is worded a little along here, but the incorporation of blended learning in the high school business content offers a lot of potential for enhancing students' literacy skills. You can leverage the digital resources, collaboration, self-direction, technology, and timely feedback. All those things are very important to these students and their learning. It allows for us to create a very supportive learning environment that allows us to help students excel with written communication, analysis, problem solving. If they're doing some work outside of school, especially when it comes to writing, my students really struggle for some reason. Even though I've shown them all the tools that really help them, they still struggle sometimes. I've gone to the extent of Grammarly is pre-installed on all of the school computers. Students, I hate this. It always pops up. Yes, but are you using it? And a lot of them fail to use those simple tools that are commonplace to improve their skills. So doing these things outside of the classroom through the blended learning aspect brings them into the classroom more prepared, and allows for more content coverage, as well as focusing on those essential skills that really are going to help them be successful in the business world. And literacy and the skills that come with that are huge. So that this article was great. Again, I encourage reading. It was pretty long, but it encompassed 33 different literary reviews, and several others as well. So it kind of was a culmination of a lot of things. So here's the references here of the blended learning and entrepreneurship education by VBIG, and then the improving vocational high school students digital literacy by Patsamantara and Hyate. Those are some great stuff. So thank you for reading. I hope this was somewhat helpful, and I encourage you to look into the combination of blended learning and literacy education into your career tech education classroom or any classroom. It really makes a huge difference. Thank you so much.